Test 1, 2, 3. It's working.
All right.
You're not live? And you're live on TV and YouTube. And all recorders are on. We're good to go.
Except I don't think we have a city attorney.
Oh, I don't have her on my list to check on.
See if
But she
she's
was-
waiting.
she
Okay,
was
there.
at the-
She's being admitted now.
Oh, awesome.
Okay. And so
Thank
is
you.
Katie. Okay.
Once she comes on, go ahead and you could open the meeting, Mallory.
Okay. All right, looks like she's on. Oh, where'd she go? Looks like she's on but muted.
Okay.
There you are. Oh, I see you. Okay.
I'm here.
All right, I'll go ahead and open it up. City of Riverbank Planning Commission Meeting, special noticing of meeting procedures for Tuesday, January 19th, 2021 at 6:00 p.m. via teleconference or virtual platform only. No public location of this meeting. Notice, this meeting will be held in accordance with the governor's new executive order N-29-20 issued on March 17th of 2020 regarding the open meeting requirements of the Ralph M. Brown Act, California Government Code Section 54950, and the Federal Americans with Disabilities Act in an effort to help avoid the spread of COVID-19 to maximize transparency and provide public access to City Council meetings. Planning Commission agenda for Tuesday, January 19th, 2021, 6:00 p.m. The agenda pack, oops, sorry.
I'll go ahead and do a roll call.
Okay, roll call.
Okay, so Chair Mallory Fenrich,
Here.
Vice Chair Joan Stewart,
Here.
Commissioner John Dinan,
Here.
Commissioner Steve Link, Commissioner Steve Link, are you muted? Is Steve there? Commissioner Link there?
You see, let me try to mute him. Yeah, I don't see him on anymore.
Huh.
Uh-oh.
Okay. All right, well, he was there, so we're having some technical difficulties. I'll come back. Commissioner Natasha Blasso?
Here.
And Commissioner Benjamin Rubin, our alternate?
Here.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay, conflict of interest. Any planning commission member or staff who has a direct conflict of interest on any scheduled agenda item to be considered is to declare their conflict at this time. All right, no conflicts. Public comments. No action can be taken. At this time, members of the public may comment on any item not appearing on the agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Planning Commission Board. Individual comments will be limited to a maximum of 5 minutes per person, and each person may speak once during this time. Time cannot be yielded to another person. Under state law, matters presented during the public comment period cannot be discussed or acted upon. For record purposes, state your name and city of residence. Please make your comments directly to the Planning Commission Board.
Sorry to interject, but Commissioner Link is back.
Okay, thank you. I just, for the record, taking roll call, Commissioner Steve Link.
I am present.
Okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead.
All right, no public comments. All right, consent calendar. All items listed on the consent calendar are to be acted upon by a single action of the Planning Commission Board unless otherwise requested by an individual Planning Commission member or member of the public for special consideration. Otherwise, the recommendation of staff will be accepted and acted upon by motion of the Planning Commission Board. So I'll just go through and read all of the items, and then we'll have a recommendation once I've read them. So item 2.1, posting of the agenda. The agenda for the January 19th, 2021 Planning Commission meeting was posted on the City Community Center Bulletin Board, City Hall North and South Bulletin Boards, Post Office, City website, and emailed to the library on January 15th, 2021. Item 2.2, approval of the January 19th, 2021 agenda. This provides an opportunity for the Planning Commission or staff to recommend that an item be placed on the agenda for discussion or to adjust the proposed agenda to allow an item to be taken out of order. Item 2.3, approval of the minutes of the February 18th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting having been read by the individual commissioners and stands approved as submitted. Commissioners to abstain due to absence from February 18th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting, commissioners were none. Item 2.4, approval of the minutes of the March 17th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting having been read by the individual commissioners and stands approved as submitted. Commissioners to abstain due to absence from March 17th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting, Commissioner Fenrich and Basso, excused absences. And item 2.5, approval of the minutes of the May 19th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting having been read by the individual commissioners and stands approved as submitted. Commissioners to abstain due to absence from May 19th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting, commissioners were none. So we'll go ahead and have a recommendation.
Okay, I move for approval of item 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, and 2.5.
All right.
I'll second it. This is Commissioner Dinan.
Okay.
Did you also say 2.4, Joan?
No, that'll have to be handled separately.
Oh, that's right. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do roll call. So Chair Fenrich?
Yes.
Vice Chair Stewart?
Yes.
Commissioner Dinan?
Yes.
Commissioner Link?
Yes.
Commissioner Basso?
Yes.
And our alternate Rubin?
Yes.
Okay.
Janet, only 5 can vote.
Okay, so we don't do our alternate then?
Correct, except for item 2.4 if he was at that meeting.
Yes, he would have been. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
This is Commissioner Dinan. I recommend approval of item 2.4 on the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do roll call, and I'm just going to do the roll call of the who can vote on it. So since Fenrich and Basso were absent, I won't do roll call them. So Vice Chair Stewart?
Yes.
Commissioner Dinan?
Yes.
Commissioner Link?
Yes.
And Commissioner Rubin? Also,
Yes.
are all okay. Thank you. So
All right. Planning Commission public hearings. The public notice for item 3.1 was published in the Riverbank News on January 6th, 2021. Item 3.1, General Plan Amendment 01-2020, California Health Collaborative, file number 20-0016 citywide. The applicant has requested that the City of Riverbank approve an ordinance amendment to the general plan that would prohibit tobacco smoking in the common areas of the multifamily zoned properties. The ordinance amendment will impact future multifamily residential development in the R2 duplex residential and R3 multiple family residential zoning districts. The proposal is not a project pursuant to CEQA guidelines.
Good evening, Commissioners. Tonight, Gabrielle, our Associate Planner, will be introducing this item, and our applicants have a slideshow as well. Thank you.
Good evening, Planning Commission, staff, and California Health Collaborative Partners. As the chairperson mentioned, this is an application for a general plan amendment 01-2020. The California Health Collaborative is requesting an amendment to establish a smoke-free policy, tobacco and cannabis for multifamily complexes. The proposed language would impact multifamily development in the R2 and duplex residential and R3 multifamily residential zoning districts, and possibly PD plan development and specific planned projects as well. The original application proposed smoke-free language for the common areas of new complexes citywide. The Planning Commission is provided with options to recommend to the City Council, which includes the common areas of new complexes, to the common areas of new and existing complexes, 3, the common and indoor areas of new complexes, 4, the common and indoor areas of new and existing complexes, and 5, or to deny the proposal, which can be appealed to the City Council. And this is the general plan map of the city. As you can see, the R2 zoning districts and R3 are in the orange area, which is medium density residential of the general plan, and the brown areas, which are the high density residential zoning areas of the city. And these can be found in the northeastern part of the city, as well in the northeast, also in like the city core, a little bit south of Patterson in this area. And then there's a couple lots down here as well on Roselle. And then some more lots here on the northern part of the city as well. Okay. Some application highlights. Stanislaus County has a 17% rate of tobacco consumption, higher than the state average of 12%. The typical cost of cleaning, rehabilitating, and refurbishing a residential unit where smoking is permitted exceeds $3,000 when compared to units where smoking is prohibited. The application is funded by the California Department of Public Health through a collaboration involving the Health Collaborative, Stanislaus County Health Services Agency, and the Health Education Council. The general plan is in the public interest because it will work to address, the general plan amendment is in the public interest because it will work to address health inequity challenges in the community. The general plan amendment is consistent and compatible with the goals and the vast majority of general plan policies. In terms of the environmental impact, the proposed project is exempt from analysis under the California Environmental Quality Act, under the general rule that CEQA applies only to projects that have the potential for causing significant environmental effects. As specified in section 15061B3, the amendment proposes a policy that commits the city to implement additional health and safety measures for multifamily housing units. The public notice for this hearing was published in the Riverbank News on January 6, 2021. Staff has received no public comments on this proposal speaking against or in support of the general plan amendment. As we mentioned, staff is providing 5 options for the Planning Commission. They are adopt the Planning Commission resolution number 2021-001 for either of these 5 options. Again, A was to prohibit the smoking of tobacco and cannabis in the common areas of future multifamily properties citywide, or B, prohibit the smoking of tobacco and cannabis on the entire site, including dwelling units of future multifamily properties citywide, or C, prohibit the smoking of tobacco and cannabis in the common areas of future and existing multifamily properties citywide, or prohibit the smoking of tobacco and cannabis on the entire site, including dwelling units of future and existing multifamily properties citywide, or E, deny the request. As the staff report noted, the applicant is willing to partner with the city and collaborate to implement the public engagement and outreach efforts for components C and D of the recommendations that we have here. And then staff is here to answer any questions. So is the applicant. Like Donna mentioned, the applicant will provide a short presentation.
Thank you, Gabrielle. I would also like to mention that I have my email up right now and have been sitting by my phone all day, and we have received no public comments on this item. Thank you. Gabrielle, would you like to introduce our applicant, please?
Yes, let's see. Okay. I guess before I introduce the applicant, actually, I'll just introduce the applicant first. So Katie Moose is here with the California Health Collaborative. We also have some other agency partners from Stanislaus County. I think Analisa Zamora. I think from the Environmental Council, Carrie Hess, I want to say. I apologize if I have the agency incorrect. And I think we also have Twila Laster from another partner in this collaborative effort.
I would like to mention too that I was online with Katie about 5:30, and she tried out her presentation, and we were able to get it work, Gabrielle.
Okay, so I'll stop sharing my screen, and then Katie, you can share your screen. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about this. 1 second here.
Got the wrong one there.
Okay, does that look right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, thank you so much for allowing us to provide our short presentation this evening on this issue. My colleagues and I are here today to ask that you consider adopting an amendment to your housing element to establish completely smoke-free multifamily housing in the city of Riverbank, both inside and outside of units. All of us here today that are representing this issue are actually from different organizations. Twyla, Carrie, and I are all from different nonprofits, and Annalisa is from the County Health Department. My name is Katie Moose. I grew up in Modesto, and I also smoked cigarettes for 18 years. So let's start with why we're focusing on the city of Riverbank specifically. Rural communities have higher rates of tobacco use than their urban counterparts, and Stanislaus County is no exception. You can kind of see Stanislaus County sticking out there in orange on this map, showing that it has a little bit higher rates than the neighboring counties to the north and the south. The smoking rate is currently 17%, and the statewide smoking rate is just 11%. anyone here who is over the age of about 25 or so knows just how much social norms around smoking have changed over the past couple of decades. This chart shows high school smoking rates in California over time. And as you can see, the number of high schoolers that started smoking has been decreasing over time. It's continuing to decrease, and it's decreased pretty dramatically. The question is why? We knew back in the 1960s that smoking caused cancer, and I certainly knew that fact when I started smoking in the 90s when I was in high school, when about a third of my peers were smoking along with me back then. So it's not necessarily because we now know how bad it is for you. In fact, increasing numbers of smoke-free policies has a lot to do with the changing norms and declining rates. And this fact has been echoed by CDC as well as many other leading health organizations. And a lack of smoke-free policies is one reason why rates in some communities continue to be higher than others. So generally speaking, that is why we're focused on Stanislaus County and on Riverbank specifically. So why are we looking at the housing element rather than just asking for an ordinance? Adding this language to your housing element will also help Riverbank meet state criteria under SB 1000 or the Planning for Healthy Communities Act. I know that Riverbank is looking at setting up an environmental justice task force to start looking at how you can meet the SB 1000 mandates, and completely smoke-free multi-unit housing falls under those criteria to promote safe and sanitary homes and will help get Riverbank in line with those mandates. Smoke-free multifamily housing is also in line with Riverbank's current goal number 4 in the housing element to conserve and improve the condition of affordable housing stock. You can see the language that we have proposed to fall under this goal here. We are asking that all newly built multifamily housing be smoke-free from the beginning, and that the city work with our partners here today to engage the community with the issue of making existing multifamily housing smoke-free as well. The reason that smoke-free multifamily housing can fall under that goal to conserve housing stock is because third-hand smoke, that sticky brown substance that gathers in smokers' homes, can cost thousands of dollars to remediate and can also get stuck in ventilation systems. Smoke-free properties also reduce fire risk and will help make complexes eligible for fire insurance discounts. Smoke-free properties also spend less on keeping their grounds clean because there are many less cigarette butts to pick up. And many apartment managers appreciate a city that is willing to tackle this issue at the citywide level rather than relying on them to adopt these policies individually, because a citywide ordinance creates an even playing field. Now my colleague Annalisa from the county is going to share what she is hearing from the community on this.
Once again, I am the project director for Stanislaus County's Tobacco Prevention Program, and I'm here today to share some local data and information that we have as a program, and that is part of our work to really assess locally what's going on. And secondhand smoke is definitely an issue within our community, and Riverbank is not an exception. I wanted to show this diagram of national data that just shows you the non-smoking Americans, the percentage of that are exposed to secondhand smoke and its harmful effects. And at the very last point is that 37%, so over a third of Americans who are non-smokers that rent are exposed to secondhand smoke at their residence. And in Stanislaus County, especially in the last 10 months now, we've experienced a doubled amount of calls regarding secondhand smoke from multi-unit housing residents throughout the county. And what's happening is that these tenants are calling in because they are experiencing health issues such as asthma attacks, headaches, and other respiratory problems that are being caused by secondhand smoke that specifically drifts from other units. So it's their neighbors that are smoking, and this is affecting not only the resident themselves, but also their families, especially their children. You can go to the next slide. And really what our program does and why we're working in collaboration on this is locally we're able to collect this information and educate our community members about these issues, as well as help our property managers and landlords in this area to decide and make the change to be 100% smoke and tobacco free. So what that looks like, as I said, assessment. We've collected 100 public intercept surveys from multifamily residents about their opinions on secondhand smoke, and I'll get into that a little bit later. And then also, we've presented to tenants regarding the dangers of secondhand and thirdhand smoke within multi-unit housing, as well as cessation resources, which is something that we will continue to do to the city of Riverbank and other communities that are with multi-unit housing, as well as provide, as I said, resources and technical assistance to property managers that are interested in going smoke and tobacco free on their property. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. And then just my final bit of this is that really multi-unit housing residents in our county are very interested in going smoke and tobacco free. When the issue is that more than half of these residents that have responded to our surveys have stated they've experienced secondhand smoke where they live in their apartments. And 74% would support a policy making multi-unit housing complexes smoke and tobacco free. So 3/4 of respondents said this, and I just thought that was very important to share. And this is what is happening locally. This is an issue in our community, and I'll go ahead and pass them on now. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carrie Hess. I work with an organization called Health Education Council, and we're funded to work with Latino communities on tobacco issues. So I was excited to join this collaboration. I wanted to share with you that 45% of Latinos in California live in a multi-unit housing dwelling. And while Latinos are least likely to smoke in California, they are more likely to be exposed to secondhand smoke. And this has to do what we think is because the family size of Latino households tends to be a bit larger. So if a neighbor is smoking, they're exposing a larger family to secondhand smoke. We also conducted surveys. All these surveys were conducted in Spanish and in Stanislaus County. And what we found is 32% of residents had smelled secondhand smoke coming into their home from the outside. And another important question that we asked on that survey was if they would support a policy that bans smoking in and around apartment complexes. And 71% said that they would support that. Next slide, please. I wanted to share with you the resources that my program can offer. We can aid the city staff and landlords with letters and lease addendums and promotion of the ordinance. We have a little bit of money set aside that we can promote these things through local media and social media. And we can also offer workshops for residents and for landlords and managers. We can also provide some signage for landlords that need assistance. An important part of a good policy is enforcement, and signage can help with that. And lastly, we also have a lot of quitting resources that we can offer for residents, including quick kits. And we have a wide variety of literature that we can get some education out. And I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Twyla with Saving Our Legacy, African Americans for Smoke-Free Safe Places, or the SOUL Project. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you. I am with Saving Our Legacy, African Americans for Smoke-Free Safe Places. And we work with communities of color at or below poverty level to improve disparities associated with smoking and social determinants of health. So you may ask yourself, is it legal to make housing smoke-free? And the answer is absolutely. Smokers are not a protected class of people, and passing a smoke-free policy does not infringe on any rights, although it should be noted that disabled residents who often live in multi-unit housing do have the right to a smoke-free environment. And also over the years, smokers have become accustomed to abiding by smoke-free laws, and several have reported increased quitting rates because of these laws, which improved their overall health. Long-term implications of smoke-free housing laws include reducing health disparities, improving health outcome for all residents, not to mention the ease for the owners who do not have to worry about all the costs associated with the repair and refurbishing of a home when smokers vacate the property, as was mentioned by my colleague. Next slide, please. And although we're asking for your consideration to protect all residents from comprehensive policy adoption, we do not advocate for eviction of enforcement of violations. Enforcement, as Carrie mentioned, can include education and signage, like the sign that you saw on the last slide, which is often used to let people know that they cannot smoke, warning letters given to people who violate the policy, and then repeated violations may result in fines or community service, but it never leads to eviction. So as mentioned earlier in the presentation, we're ready to provide managers, owners, and residents with smoke-free multi-unit housing transition plan, if you will, and resources for free to low-cost cessation services for those who need to quit. Next slide. So as you know, Hispanic residents make up more than 56% of the population in Riverbank. And so unfortunately, many people in this community, including Hispanic Latinos, experience social, economic, and environmental conditions that lead to poorer health outcomes, often as a result of smoking in multi-unit housing. And often persons living at or below poverty level reside in multi-unit housing. So since families are spending more time at home to help stop the spread of COVID, limiting exposure to all sources of smoke is most important than ever. And the best way to protect residents from the harmful effects of smoking is to consider adoption of a comprehensive smoke-free housing policy. So children, pregnant women, older adults, and those with health conditions such as asthma, lung and heart disease are affected at greater rates by exposure to secondhand smoke. And exposure to smoke also weakens the immune system and can make COVID infections even more severe. It is also well known that there's no safe level of commercial tobacco smoke. Many are not aware of the health risks associated with exposure to smoke from cannabis and hookah pipes and vaping devices like the pens or the mods. So just like cigarettes, all of these produce first, second, and third hand smoke, which places the direct user as well as those who don't smoke in danger. Next slide. So thank you so much for your attention this evening, and thank you for your consideration in protecting the health and well-being of Riverbank residents. Now Katie is going to close out our presentation.
So that's our presentation. Thank you so much for your time. I'm the main point of contact. If you want to follow up with me in the future, my contact information is there, and we're here to answer any questions. Thanks again.
All right, thank you. Do commissioners have questions?
This is Commissioner Dinan. Yeah, I have a few. Do you foresee, and this is to any of the, by the way, it was an excellent presentation by all of you, thank you. Do you foresee this in multifamily complexes that are you considering condominium complexes and townhome complexes the same as rental units? Is that what you envision? Katie, I'll send it to you.
We would envision something that would cover units that share walls and or ventilation system, because that's where the secondhand smoke gets through: electrical systems, cracks in the walls, and ventilation systems. So that's what we would advocate for. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Well, I have a question. A follow-up to Commissioner Dinan's question. So if people own duplexes or townhouses that share walls, even though they are property owners, they would not be allowed to smoke in their own home?
We would advocate for that, anything that shares walls, because it is exposing the other family who doesn't have a choice to things that they don't want to be exposed to. I believe the staff put some different choices in the staff report in terms of whether duplexes would be included or not. So I think there can be some discussion on that, but we would advocate for something that would cover and protect families from their neighbors if they don't want to be exposed to secondhand smoke.
Now, this is Commissioner Dinan again. The language that the staff put in, the proposed language for the general plan amendment, was more multifamily units, a much higher rate than duplexes. I believe it was 18 plus units, 8 plus units. Staff can correct me if I'm wrong.
I have a question. As an alternate, can I ask a question? Mallory?
Yes.
Yes, you can.
Okay,
Yeah.
does this new policy apply to commercial developments, like a shopping center, a mall?
Only residential.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, this is Donna. I didn't hear an answer for John's question about the number of units, but we do propose the R2 zoning district, which is duplexes. So, and it does not allow, a high amount, like you would find just 2 units on a parcel, not 8 or 10 within the R2 district.
Thank you, Don.
Any other questions? Okay. Oh, I'm not sure where to go from here.
I think we need to open it for public comments.
Yeah, it's a public hearing, so we need to open it.
Okay, let's go ahead and open it for public comments.
I have no emails coming in and I have no calls coming in.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make some comments, and then
Okay.
if allowed, I'd like to propose a motion.
So then are we closing the public hearing, just for clarification?
Madam Chair, you're closing the public hearing?
Yes, let's close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Full disclosure, I smoked from the time I was 12 till I was 62. Katie, you can relate to that, I'm sure, but not that many years. I was a heavy smoker. I lived in a condominium for 20 of those years. Never once had a complaint, but I'm not saying that what you presented isn't true. I can strongly support option A for common areas to be smoke-free. If necessary, I can support the option that requires new constructed units to be smoke-free. I have a real problem with forcing existing complexes to go smoke-free. I feel it's not the place of government to tell businesses of existing units how they should operate their businesses. Having said that, before I make a motion, I'd like to hear if there are any other commissioners that have something to say.
Yeah, I was kind of feeling similar. I can't remember all the order of all the options. I think it was A that restricted it in common areas. Yeah, I'm just not sure if it's, I appreciate all the great information and I agree with it. I'm not sure if it's overreaching or if I'm just not sure if I feel comfortable to restrict it indoors currently in their units.
May I ask a question, Valerie?
Yeah.
So does that mean you would support new and existing outdoors only, or just the new outdoors only?
I think I would have to go with new, just all new units going forward.
Thank you.
And this is Commissioner Stewart, and I would also have to go along with A, possibly B, but absolutely nothing at all on existing properties.
Okay. Do we have a recommendation?
This is Commissioner Dinan. I make a motion to approve option A of the report submitted to us by staff.
I'll second that.
Okay, I'm going to do a roll call. So, Chair Fenwich?
Yes.
Vice Chair Stewart?
Yes.
Commissioner Dinan?
Yes.
Commissioner Link?
No.
Commissioner Basso?
No.
Okay, so it's passes 3-2.
All right. We'll move on. Planning Commission comments. Looks like none. County referral / correspondence / information. Looks like none.
This time.
All right. Staff comments.
Just please wash up, mask up, separate, and vaccinate so we're all safe and can get through this COVID. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Donna. This meeting is adjourned. The next regular Planning Commission meeting is scheduled for February 16th, 2021 at 6:00 p.m.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.